One choice can save a life, but destroy a love forever. Mireya is standing at the edge of a decision that could change everything, not just for her, not just for Tommy, but for an unborn child who has no idea how dangerous this world really is. Mireya never planned to fall in love with a man like Tommy Egan. It didn't start with danger. It started with connection, protection, and the feeling that someone finally saw her for who she really was. Tommy, in his own broken way, gave her honesty when everyone else brought lies. He gave her loyalty in a world where loyalty dies fast. But now everything is different. There is a baby involved, and that changes the rules completely. Love is no longer enough when a child's life is on the line. Mireya is no longer just thinking about today or tomorrow. She is thinking about years ahead, about survival, about whether staying with Tommy is a risk she cannot afford anymore. This isn't just a relationship problem. This is a life or death choice. Tommy's world has never been safe, and Mireya knows it. Enemies don't knock before they strike. Bullets don't ask questions. Revenge doesn't care who gets caught in the middle. Mireya has seen enough to understand that danger follows Tommy like a shadow. Wherever he goes, trouble finds him. And now that she is carrying his child, that danger feels closer than ever before. Every sound, every strange look, every sudden silence feels like a warning. A baby cannot hide, a baby cannot run. And in this life, weakness is hunted. Mireya understands that loving Tommy may also mean putting her child directly in harm's way. There is also the truth Mireya is afraid to say out loud. Tommy cannot change who he is. He can promise protection, but protection in his world always comes with violence. Mireya doesn't doubt Tommy's love. She doubts the future. She doubts whether a man built for war can raise a child without pulling the child into the same darkness. Even if Tommy wants peace, peace never lasts long around him. Mireya is starting to realize that staying might be the most dangerous option of all. And that thought alone is breaking her heart. This is the moment where Mireya's character truly shifts. She is no longer reacting to events. She is thinking ahead. She is weighing pain against survival. Walking away from Tommy would destroy her emotionally, but staying could destroy her child physically. That is the cruel choice in front of her. And once the thought takes root, there is no turning back. The question is no longer if Mireya is scared. The question is how far she is willing to go to protect her baby, even if it means leaving the men she loves behind. Mireya never says it out loud, but the fear lives inside her every single day. It shows in the way she listens more carefully, the way she watches doors instead of people, and the way her smile fades the moment Tommy talks about business. She knows this life too well now. She knows that no matter how careful Tommy tries to be, violence always finds him. It's not bad luck. It's not coincidence. It's who he is and the world he refuses to leave behind. Loving Tommy means accepting that danger is always one step away, and that reality is becoming harder for Mireya to ignore. Tommy doesn't bring fear into a room on purpose, but it follows him like smoke. Old enemies don't disappear just because he moved cities. New enemies are created the moment he takes control. Mireya understands that every deal Tommy makes adds another name to a list of people who would love to see him bleed. And those people don't care about rules or lines they shouldn't cross. If they can't hurt Tommy directly, they will go after what he loves most. Mireya knows that puts her and the baby directly in the line of fire. That truth weighs on her heavier than any promise Tommy can make. There is also the fear of sudden loss. Mireya has seen how fast things can change in this world. One phone call, one wrong move, one surprise attack. A future that feels stable today can vanish in seconds. She imagines waking up one morning to sirens, chaos, and silence where Tommy used to be. The thought terrifies her, not just because she loves him, but because she knows a child would be left without a father. Worse than that, a child would grow up surrounded by questions, danger, and unfinished business. Mireya doesn't want that kind of life for her baby. She wants stability, not constant fear. Tommy believes strength can solve everything. Mireya is starting to believe strength isn't enough. No amount of guns, money, or power can fully protect a child in this world. Mireya feels the gap growing between how Tommy sees the future and how she does. Tommy sees survival through control. Mireya sees survival through escape. That difference is quiet, but it's powerful. It turns small conversations into heavy silences. It makes her pull back emotionally, even when she wants to lean in. The hardest part is that Tommy isn't a bad man to her. He is honest. He is loyal. He would die for his family without hesitation. But that same loyalty is what keeps him locked into a violent cycle he cannot walk away from. Mireya understands something Tommy may never fully accept. Love does not cancel danger. Caring deeply doesn't erase consequences, and bringing a child into this world forces her to face those consequences head-on. This fear isn't just about bullets and enemies. It's about the kind of life her baby would grow up in. Always moving, always hiding, always watching their back. Mireya refuses to raise a child who learns fear before peace. The more she thinks about it, the clearer it becomes that staying with Tommy might mean condemning her child to the same life he lives. And that thought is pushing her closer to a decision she never wanted to make. Everything changes the moment Mireya fully understands what this baby represents in Tommy's world. This is not just new life or a symbol of love in the streets. A child connected to power is a weakness waiting to be exploited. Mireya knows this truth even if no one says it directly. A baby cannot defend itself, cannot hide intentions, cannot understand why danger is always nearby. The baby becomes a target without ever choosing to be one. And once Mireya accepts that reality, there is no comfort left in pretending things will somehow work out. Mireya begins to see the future in flashes. She imagines holding her child while constantly checking windows and doors. She imagines changing names, changing homes, and changing routines just to stay alive. That is not a future built on joy. That is a future built on fear. Every enemy Tommy has ever made would see the baby as leverage, as a way to break him without pulling a trigger. Mireya understands that even if Tommy wins every war, the cost could still be their child's safety. Winning doesn't equal peace. In this life, it only delays the next threat. There is also the weight of responsibility pressing down on Mireya. Before the baby, she could take risks for love. She could accept danger for passion. Now, she carries a life that depends on her choices. If something happens to this child, there will be no excuses and no second chances. Mireya knows she would never forgive herself for ignoring the signs. Staying with Tommy might feel brave, but it could also be selfish. Protecting a child sometimes means walking away from the person you love the most. The baby also forces Mireya to look at Tommy differently. She starts to question how much of his world he would truly be able to keep away from their child. Tommy believes in separation, in keeping family protected while business stays outside. Mireya has seen enough to know that separation never lasts. Blood follows blood, sooner or later. The child would ask questions. Sooner or later, the truth would come out. And once that door opens, it can never be closed again. Mireya's instincts begin to overpower her emotions. She starts thinking quietly, planning silently, and preparing for a future that might not include Tommy at all. She doesn't argue. She doesn't threaten. She observes. Every time danger creeps closer, it confirms what she already feels deep inside. The baby is the line that cannot be crossed. Love can survive heartbreak. A child might not survive this world. What hurts most is knowing that leaving might be the safest choice, but also the cruelest one. Tommy would never forgive himself if he knew his life pushed Mireya away. Mireya knows that disappearing could save the baby but destroy Tommy emotionally. Still, when weighed against the life growing inside her, that emotional pain feels like a price she may be forced to pay. The baby isn't just changing her future. It's forcing her to choose who she must become. This is the breaking point, not because Mireya stops loving Tommy, but because she starts loving her child more. And in this world, That kind of love demands sacrifice. Mireya understands that leaving Tommy is not something she can do loudly. In Tommy's world, goodbyes create questions. And questions create danger. If she simply tells him she wants out, Tommy will try to fix it. He will promise safety, money, protection, and control. He will refuse to let her go, not out of cruelty, but out of love. Mireya knows that if she wants to protect her baby, she cannot give Tommy a chance to pull her back in. That realization pushes her toward a darker option, disappearing without. Warning, walking away quietly may be the only way to keep everyone safe. Mireya starts thinking about distance, not drama. No fights, no final speeches, just absence. She imagines leaving behind a short message. Something vague enough to avoid answers but strong enough to stop Tommy from searching. She would. Frame it as choice, not fear. She would make it seem like she wanted a different life. Even if the truth is far more complicated, the lie would hurt, but the truth could be deadly. There is a pattern in this world that Mireya cannot ignore. In the power universe, women who stay too close to men like Tommy often pay the highest price. They become leverage, warnings, or casualties. Mireya has seen how fast love can turn into loss. She doesn't want to become another story whispered after violence breaks out. By disappearing, she would remove herself from the board completely. No enemies to target, no weaknesses to exploit, just silence. But disappearing also comes with its own pain. Mireya knows Tommy would blame himself. He would tear apart the city, trying to understand what he did wrong. That guilt could drive him deeper into violence, not away from it. Mireya is aware that her choice might protect the baby but unleash something dangerous inside Tommy. Still, she believes that pain is better than death. Emotional wounds can heal, grace cannot. Mireya also fears what staying would turn her into. Constant fear hardens people. It turns love into anxiety and joy into suspicion. She doesn't want her child's first memories to be whispered conversations and emergency plans. She wants sunlight, not shadows. To give that life, she must step into the unknown alone. That takes a different kind of strength, one Tommy may never fully understand. The idea of disappearing is not about running away. It's about taking control for the first time. Mireya is no longer reacting to Tommy's world. She is creating her own, a world where her child's name is not whispered in dark rooms, a world where no one knows who the father is or what power he holds. Anonymity becomes protection. There is also the possibility that Mireya doesn't plan to disappear forever. Distance can create safety. Time can soften anger. Maybe one day, when the danger fades, when enemies fall, when Tommy's life slows down, she could return. Or maybe she knows deep down that once she leaves, there is no going back. Some doors only open one way. This choice defines Mireya more than any relationship ever could. Walking away would break her heart. Disappearing would erase her past. But both options share one goal: keeping her baby alive. And in a world ruled by violence, survival often demands choices that feel cruel, cold, and final. When Tommy realizes Mireya is gone, the world doesn't slow down for him. It cracks at first. He tells himself it's temporary, that she needed space, that she'll call. But the silence drags on, and the truth starts sinking in. Mireya didn't leave by accident. She planned this. That realization hits harder than any betrayal Tommy has faced before, because this time, it came from someone he truly loved. Not a partner in business, not an ally, family. Tommy has always handled loss with violence. It's the language he understands best. Anger gives him focus. Rage gives him purpose. Mireya's disappearance lights a fire inside him that burns hotter than any enemy ever has. He starts retracing every conversation, every look, every moment he missed. The idea that danger pushed her away eats at him. Worse, the idea that he became the danger destroys him from the inside. Tommy doesn't accept unanswered questions. He never has. The more Mireya stays silent, the more reckless he becomes. He starts pushing harder in the streets, making ladder moves, sending clearer messages. If Mireya left because the world was unsafe, Tommy's twisted logic says the solution is control. Total dominance, no threats left alive, no rivals breathing. He convinces himself that if the city belongs to him completely, Mireya will come back. But that belief only drags him deeper into chaos. The pain also strips away what little balance Tommy had left. Without Mireya, there is no anchor pulling him towards something normal. No voice reminding him that life can be more than war. He becomes colder, sharper, and more dangerous. Every move is fueled by the need to feel something other than loss. People around him start to notice the shift. This isn't just business anymore. This is personal. Tommy also begins to understand something too late. Mireya didn't leave because she stopped loving him. She left because she loved their child more. That truth doesn't calm him, it haunts him. He knows that his life, his choices, and his enemies forced her hand. For a man who prides himself on control, that realization is unbearable. He couldn't protect the one thing that mattered most. This kind of loss reshapes Tommy. It doesn't soften him, it sharpens him into something darker. Every threat feels bigger. Every slight feels personal. Without Mireya, Tommy has nothing left to lose. And that makes him unpredictable. The city feels that shift immediately. Allies grow cautious. Enemies grow nervous. A man with no family to protect is far more dangerous than a man with something to lose. The tragedy is that Mireya leaving might save her child, but it creates a storm behind her. Tommy's love doesn't fade quietly. It explodes. And that explosion has consequences that reach far beyond their relationship. The question is no longer whether Mireya leaving was the right choice. The question is how much damage that choice will cause in a world already built on blood.